I want to wish everyone a beautiful Shabbos. We find ourselves between two minor Jewish festivals. So I want to just share a few thoughts about each of those, as well as the Shabbat reading that would be relevant to this week. So this week we talk about the holiness of Kohanim and the responsibility of the priests, the Kohanim, to live up to additional expectations by Jewish law. But we actually round off the big three that relates to our lives always, and that is we deal with Olam, Shana, and Nefesh, which means time and place and person. And over the last weeks, we have been dealing with holiness that can be found in place, the holiest place on earth, Yerushalayim, the temple, and the sanctuary, and the inner sanctum of the holies of holies. So we spoke about holiness of place. We've also spoken about holiness of time, which we speak about this week, the Yomim Tovim, Shabbos, and Yontef, and the list of all the very special moments in the Jewish calendar year. And then we speak about holiness as it's found in people, in the actual person, him or herself, represented by the Kohanim, holiness in the person themselves. So just a suggestion these days, as we're spending so much time at home and having more time to think about life, it's important to think about the three arenas in which we operate. And that is the place, the time, and the person. And that we have to aspire to greatness and to growth and to development in ourselves as people, and how we can emerge with greater insight into life as people, to think about place, which means our homes, and to think ahead of our workplaces and all of the areas that we frequent. How can we make the place and space that we are involved in more meaningful and more peaceful and more harmonious? And how can we master time, which means that we are in control of the way a day unfolds and a year unfolds and life unfolds? Can we master the Kedusha, the holiness of time and of place and of person? Can we master our lives in all of these three areas? Because when we do, and they come together, that is the sweet spot where everything is in sync and everything working together, ourselves as people, our time, and our environment of space. The thought about today, which is a minor festival called Pesach Sheni, is that the history is that there were Jewish people at the time of the Exodus who were unable to bring the Paschal offering and were unable to be involved in the whole process of the liberation festival because they were impure, and they, on a technicality of law, could not participate in the Paschal offering. And they came to Moshe Rabbeinu with a deep found complaint, and they said, Moshe, help us. Why, Lama Nigara, why should we lose out? We also want to participate in this all-important event. And Moshe Rabbeinu consults Hashem and comes back with an answer that there is a festival to be instituted and motivated by the request of us to Moshe Rabbeinu, which will be called Pesach Sheni, then and in years to come. And that is any individual who is far away, who is distant or is impure, and for whatever reason it might be, was unable to fulfill the responsibility first time round, there is a second chance called Pesach Sheni, exactly a month after Pesach, where they can bring the Paschal offering then. The custom today is to actually eat matzah today and tomorrow, if you can, in addition to your challah, to have matzah, which reminds us of this second Pesach, exactly a month after the actual festival of Pesach. But the message for us is much, much broader. It is telling us that we sometimes fail and we sometimes are not where we want to be, but our response has to be to pick ourselves up and to commit ourselves for the way further, so that we are not held prisoner and impeded by the failures of the past, because the real success of life is not whether we fail or not, but whether we have the capacity to pick ourselves up when we fall and to go further. So that is the message of Pesach Sheni. It's nishtok and fafaln. It's never totally lost. There's always a second chance. And even in an area which relates to the very birth of our people, our Am Yisrael was born on Pesach. Even if we go back to an area that is so critical in our life, that it is the very beginning of all things important, and we failed and we missed out, don't feel that it is a lost cause. There is Pesach Sheni, nishtok and fafaln. Nothing is lost forever. There is a chance to turn it around. That is the process of teshuvah, of changing our lives, of changing tomorrow, of making the next day better than yesterday. The next festival that we talk about is this coming Monday night and Tuesday, which relates to BaOmer. We know that the history of BaOmer was that it was a season and time at the time of Rabbi Akiva and his students, where 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva passed away in a plague, which was a catastrophe within a short period of less than 2 months. And the day of BaOmer was the day in which the students stopped dying, and therefore there was relief that the plague, that the difficulty of illness that was affecting the entire student body of Rabbi Akiva had come to an end. And the message for us there is that the reason for the passing of the students of Rabbi Akiva was that they did not have adequate, at their level, respect for one another. So even though they were committed to important values, their understanding of one another and their respect for one another was not at the level as it should have been. The message to us is in our moments where we are isolated and we are dealing with a plague that is affecting, a pandemic that's affecting the world, is that our response of BaOmer is to promote unity, to think about methods of connecting with all of those who we have been detached from in a meaningful way, to rise above even the distance, the social distance that is physically affecting our lives, and to put all our effort into making sure that there are emotional connections and connections of heart and soul between the people in our lives that we want to be connected to and to the world beyond. Unity is the call of the hour, and to that end, this coming Monday night, there will not be our normal shmoozer celebration in the Great Park Forest, but all the communities from across the entire country this time will be coming together on Zoom for an evening of an hour and a half from 6:30 till 8 o'clock this coming Monday night. I've made the address access code for the Zoom link known. Please look at emails and WhatsApps to see the link. Please join us. There'll be messages from all the Rabbonim, many of the Rabbonim across the country. There'll be music and lively means of sharing an hour and a half together in unity. May all of our communities join together with energy and effort to face the present dilemmas, and please God, the hopefully wonderful opportunities that lie ahead, with a sense and a feeling of belonging to one another, caring for one another, and living up to the expectations of true Jewish unity. Have a beautiful Shabbos. I can't wait to say L'chaim in person and to celebrate together at Shul. May that day come soon. Good Shabbos.